Yo, what's good, boys? It's Yap MMA. We're back with another video. Today, we are going to be matchmaking and breaking down some potential future fights from some winners and some losers of UFC 313. I meant to get this video yesterday, but yesterday I was crashing. I was sleeping all day. I stayed up late night UFC 313. I don't know about you boys, but I mean the outcome was somewhat expected, but at the same time, some people were happy, some people were mad. I broke down that fight. I did the recap video. If you haven't seen that yet, go check that out. But today we're going to be matchmaking some winners, some losers of UFC 313. Before we go ahead and get into it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's start it off with Alex Pereira, man. He lost the belt. I shouldn't have put the picture with the belt. That's all I could find. But Alex Pereira lost the belt to Magomed Ankalaev. Pretty disappointing fashion, at least. He got outstruck by Ankalaev, and you can't deny it. You can't say that this was a robbery fight. It was not a robbery. I rewatched the fight. Very, very close fight. A lot of the rounds were very close, but Ankalaev dropped Pereira. Yeah, I think it was the end of round 2 or early round 3. No, end of round 2 or end of round 3. Sorry, I think it was end of round 3. Dropped Pereira. I mean, he didn't drop him. He rocked him really bad, knocked him up against the fence. Could have potentially finished him with more time. So that was a really defining factor. He outstruck Pereira. He held him up against the fence. Of course, there was some clinch work. Not the most exciting thing to see, but I did call it in my breakdown video of this fight. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. But I did say I thought this could go the distance. It could be a more boring fight than we'd expect. It's just because of Magomed Ankalaev's style. He's effective. It's just not the most entertaining thing. But nonetheless, Alex Pereira lost the belt. Who should he fight next, man? It's got to be a Magomed Ankalaev rematch. I mean, Pereira does deserve it. It was a close fight. It wasn't an absolute abomination, an absolute blowout, right? This wasn't like Ankalaev total domination. He landed the better shots. He connected with the better shots. He was coming forward. He was pressuring. Alex Pereira was backing up a lot, It's just Ankalaev straight rights down the pipe were working for him. They were butter. They were money. So, but Pereira does deserve the rematch because it went to the distance. It was a close fight and Pereira defending the belt multiple times, right? So I think this is the fight for Alex Pereira. Whether he wants to wait a long time, wait it out. I mean, Ankalaev isn't a very active fighter, but he can either wait it out, let Ankalaev potentially fight somebody else, or just book that rematch. We don't want to see an immediate rematch. Some time off would be nice. Alex Pereira was super active in 2024, deserves some time off, especially after the loss. Take at least 6 months, get recovered, feel better. Start training and looking, rewatching tape, working on his fight game. But for Magomed Ankalaev, I think he can either run that rematch back or fight Yuri Prochazka. Man, this would be such a good fight, I think. Honestly, on the feet, it would be close. It would be very close. We saw an updated, advanced Yuri in his last fight. His defense was better against Jamal Hill. His power is always the same. He's always dangerous. He's always live. They could run that matchup, Ankalaev versus Yuri, and maybe the winner fights Alex. I know it's not like very deserving for Alex to fight the winner of this matchup, but if Alex wants to sit out for a while, if Ankalaev wants to stay busy, if he's maybe forced to be a busy champ, Dana and Hunter could go ahead and say you need to fight every 6 months as a champion. Obviously, they can't force anybody like that, but they could try to push for this fight maybe and book Ankalaev versus Yuri. That would be a great fight, I think. Honestly, on the feet, it'd be close. I would lean Ankalaev just because his defense is better. His straight rights are very nice. He's got good leg kicks, good kicks. But Yuri's always live, man. He's always live. And he's only lost to Alex Pereira, who is his counter, his kryptonite, whatever you want to call it. But I think that would be a great match. A great matchup if they don't book Alex Pereira versus Ankalaev. Or they could book that rematch. And then if Ankalaev wins, fights Yuri. If Alex wins, we'd be looking at a whole different thing, Obviously, you could book Yuri versus the winner of Olberg and Blachowicz. That would be a great fight as well, but we will see what happens. But we will move on to the next guy. Justin Gaethje, man, comes away with a big win over Rafael Fiziev. Basically the same fight as the first one. First time around is pretty close, pretty similar. Justin landed a very nice uppercut, which was the highlight of the fight. Dropped Fiziev, wasn't able to finish him, but had him really badly hurt. Clear decision for Justin Gaethje, but the Gaethje teasers with Islam Makhachev, I don't like it. Okay? We got to stop with narratives like this being pushed after a one-fight win streak, all right? Gaethje got smoked by Holloway. smoked by Holloway. You cannot say that he did not get destroyed by Max Holloway at UFC 300. That was knockout of the year. All right, he got smoked. Nonetheless, he got a great win the other night, but you can't deny the fact that coming off of one win over a guy coming in on 10 days notice who you've already beat does not deserve title shots. All right, it doesn't deserve title shots, and we know what's going to happen if Islam fights Gaethje right now. All right, Gaethje's going to get subbed in round one. He's going to get subbed or knocked out in round one. Realistically, he's going to get subbed in round one. Okay, we love Gaethje, but we need to see him fight somebody else, and that somebody else is Dan Hooker. All right, that fight was booked. It's a great fight. Gaethje just got a beautiful win to secure his place in that top five, and Hooker still deserves a chance at the top five. When I'm looking at top five, I don't see anybody else that Hooker could realistically fight between. You got Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, who's retiring soon. He wants a retirement fight. It won't be Dan Hooker again. Charles Oliveira, who is most likely going to rematch Arman. So Arman and Charles, get that off the table. We're not getting Dan Hooker versus Islam, but Dan deserves a top five opponent. All right, he's been fighting down in the rankings. He's on a 3-fight win streak, and I think Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker just rebooked that fight. Gaethje just solidified that he is not cooked. People were throwing the narrative out that Gaethje was cooked. He was an underdog in the fight against Fiziev in the rematch, and he won the first fight. He was an underdog. He was only an underdog because of that last fight with Max Holloway. People were questioning his chin, questioning his abilities, still after getting knocked out cold by Max Holloway, right? After getting an absolute beatdown put on him. But if Justin Gaethje is now active after not taking so much damage that he took when he fought Max Holloway, he didn't take much damage against Fiziev. He didn't take too much damage at least. So we could see a Gaethje who comes back in the next 4 to 5 months, and we could book him against Hooker again, man. And International Fight Week would be beautiful. And I think that's 3 months. Book him International Fight Week or July. That would be just amazing. Like, if we could get that, come on, man. I mean, we need to see this fight. This is just absolute war. This is just fight of the year potential. We need to get the rebooking. But we will move on to the next guy. Ignacio Bahamondes gets a huge win against Jalen Turner. Beautiful win. Round one submission. He called for it. He wanted a submission. He got the submission. Ignacio Bahamondes deserved the rankings. He's very well rounded, and I think he deserves to fight up in the rankings already, man. I mean, that was a beautiful way to finish a top 15 guy in round one with a beautiful submission. I mean, you can't really deny that, right? You can't deny that. And he's a finisher. He's an entertaining finisher at lightweight. He's tall. He's got ground game, and he's got striking, man. He's a great striker as well. So I'm booking him up against Mateusz Gamrot, all right? Gamrot is coming off that loss to Dan Hooker. It was very close. Don't get me wrong, it was very close. But Gamrot did lose that fight. He got dropped. He wore the damage badly. He wasn't able to get too many takedowns on Hooker. Hooker was able to get back to his feet every time. And we've seen this is not going to be a fight. If this fight is booked, there's not really going to be too much of a narrative where Ignacio is just going to get wrestled for 15 to 25 minutes, right? Because this could be a ground fight. But Ignacio, we just saw he has good defense off of his back, submission game off of his back, and he's dangerous on the ground. We didn't really see Ignacio as much of a submission artist. He had a submission over Rongju, which was a beautiful submission, but you don't see him off of his back. And then he pulls that off against Jalen Turner, who's still a great fighter. Of course, he retired, but he's still a great fighter. That was an amazing win, right? That was a beautiful win, and I think this would be a very competitive fight. I mean, this could be a replay of Dan Hooker versus Mateusz Gamrot. I mean, I'm thinking Jalen Turner. Ignacio's striking is amazing. His striking is arguably as good as Dan Hooker's, all right? And his ground game is really good, especially off of his back. We just saw that. So I think this fight will be fun. I think it'll be very exciting. Gamrot, of course, he deserved that top 5 before, but he lost to Dan Hooker. Give him Ignacio Bahamondes on the rise. On a 3-fight win streak, 3-fight finishing streak right now, all performance of the night bonuses. It's live, man. And Mateusz needs to defend his spot. So Ignacio versus Mateusz Gamrot, great fight to make. Then we got Rafael Fiziev, lost to Justin Gaethje for the second time. He's on a 3-fight losing streak now. It's rough, man. Lost to Gaethje, lost to Gamrot, and now he's just lost to Gaethje again. Of course he hurt himself against Gamrot. That was an injury. But he's on a 3-fight losing streak, all right? And he is still ranked top 15. This fight is not too realistic, but this is Marauder versus Marauder, boys. Rafael Fiziev versus Benoit Saint Denis, boys. This is a good fight. This is a good-ass fight to make. All right. Of course, Benoit's coming off of two losses by finish, but so is Fiziev. He's coming off of three losses, not by finish, but three losses in a row for Fiziev and two losses for Benoit Saint Denis. This is Marauder versus Marauder, and I think this would be a war. This would be a fight of the night war. All right. It's not too realistic, but if we want to give Fiziev a chance to solidify his 15 and Benoit a chance to solidify his 15, this is a perfect way to go, man. This is a win-win. You get one of these guys holding their top 15 spot and being able to rise back up the rankings potentially. Both these guys are on little losing streaks and they need a bounce back fight, and a bounce back fight against each other would be great. I mean, it'd be great. And this would be back and forth. Both these guys are marauders, boys. They just go for blood. They just fight for blood. All right. So this is the fight to make. You could book Fiziev against Rufi or Ignacio, but I kind of want to see those guys fight different guys. I don't want to match up all the lightweights on 313 against each other, man. But we will move on to the next lightweight, Mauricio Rufi. Beautiful spinning kick, man, to knock out King Green. I didn't even put King Green on this list, man. He's on status. We don't even know if we're gonna keep him around in the UFC. But yeah, we'll see what happens with King Green. But Mauricio Rufi absolutely flatlines him in round one. I mean, what else did we really expect? We called for it. We knew it was gonna happen. He deserves a ranked opponent. I'm not gonna lie. These fighting nerds need to be tested. It's not even that they deserve it too much. They need to be tested. We need to see them fight high competition. And Rufi called for Beneil Dariush. We're giving him Beneil Dariush. I'm sorry, we got to sacrifice you, Beneil. You got to be the sacrificial lamb. We need to see if Rufi is deserving of top 15, if not top 10. Beneil Dariush is still top 10. All right? This is a huge, huge fight to make. This is a huge fight, and hopefully it would be a 5-rounder. Hopefully it could be like a 5-round. Okay, actually, we don't want this in the Apex. Hopefully it's on a pay-per-view, okay? And hopefully it's a great fight. I think this would be a good fight. Rufi always brings it, and so does Beneil Dariush. We forget that Beneil Dariush throws hands. Sure, he got knocked out in his two last fights, but he got knocked out by number 1 and number 2 ranked Charles Oliveira and Arman Sarukian, okay? Those are not bad losses. Okay? So we can't be throwing around this narrative that Beneil Dariush is a bum. He is not a bum. But he is aging, and he does need to defend his spot, and he still got paid for Renato Moicano pulling out of UFC 311. He got paid. So he kind of owes the UFC. Book this fight. Rufi versus Beneil Dariush should be a great fight. And I'm not going to lie, I think Rufi would knock him out. But Beneil Dariush is still good. He could pull off the win. You never know. Book this fight, man. We move on. Joshua Van, big win at UFC 313. This dude is always rising. He's an always rising prospect at flyweight. He's fun. He's young. Shut down Ray Suria's wrestling, shut him down. He was panic shooting. I think he shot 28 takedowns. Ray shot 21 to 28. I think it was 21 takedowns. What am I saying? It was 21 takedowns. 28 is like Marab level. He shot 21 takedowns in 15 minutes, okay? And Joshua Van stuffed almost all of them. Basically all of them, shucked him off, got his hands going, landed the shots on the feet, was stunning Ray. And Ray was the bigger, more imposing dude. Joshua Van's a very small guy, even at flyweight, and he was dominating Ray Surya. He wanted to finish, didn't get the finish, but it doesn't matter. That was an entertaining fight. He proved that he's deserving of the rankings, and he needs to be fighting somebody up. So I'm looking up against Bruno Silva. Tell me this wouldn't be a great boxing matchup. Both these guys are dangerous on the feet. They love to throw hands. Bruno Silva has got serious power at flyweight. It would be a test for Joshua Van, who's been knocked out before. He got knocked out by Johnson. This will be a test for him at flyweight to fight a power puncher like Bruno Silva. So book these guys up, man. 3-round. I think it would be a really fun fight at flyweight. Joshua Van is bringing some hype to flyweight. He's some of people's favorite flyweights. But we will move on to the next guy, another Bruno Ferreira. Who are we booking up against? Bruno Ferreira against, oh my goodness, I just blanked on his name. Petrosky recently fought. I believe he fought in the Apex recently and got a great win. He got a great win over a great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy in Vieira. And he showed that his takedown defense was great. His wrestling's great. On the feet, he's smooth. And Bruno Ferreira is super fun, always finishing guys. Just came off of a great submission win That was nobody expected that. Everybody just expected a knockout, but he can do both. He can knock you out. He can submit you. This guy's well-rounded. He's well-versed, and he's exciting. So I want to see this fight. This is a good fight to make, man. And winner of this, I mean, Petrosky's on a 3-fight win streak, and now Ferreira's on a 1-fight win streak, but Abu's getting a shot at the top 15, so why not Ferreira if he gets another win? I say book this fight, but that's all my fight picks, boys. If you enjoy the matchmaking, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, drop your comments down below what you guys would change or what you guys like, and I will catch you boys in the next one. See you.